What if I told you that for just $69 you could get a pair of in-ear monitors with real wooden faceplates, a beryllium diaphragm driver and a warm, natural sound signature? Meet the Sivga Que, a budget IEM that aims to punch well above its weight. But does it deliver? Let's find out! Sivga has a reputation for blending craftsmanship with affordability, and the Que is no exception. The IEMs arrive in a nicely decorated box. Inside you find a brown leather carrying case, a detachable silver-plated oxygen-free copper cable and a good selection of ear tips. Visually, the Que fits right into Sivga's design language. The combination of white maple wood faceplates and zinc alloy shells gives it a vintage meets modern aesthetic. The build quality is excellent, especially considering the price. There's no plastic here, just solid materials that feel premium in hand. The IEMs are also impressively lightweight, making them comfortable for long listening sessions. However, the included ear tips don't provide the best isolation, so if you want better noise blocking, foam tips might be a good upgrade. I do wish that Sivga had included a 4.4mm option, instead of just a 3.5mm plug. But at this price point, it's totally understandable. Now let's move on to the important part, sound quality. Now let's talk about the sound quality. For testing the Sivga Que, I use my two go-to test tracks, Hotel California by Eagles and Get Lucky by Daft Punk. For the source devices, I use the FiiO BTR17 and an iBasso DX340. The Sivga Que leans towards a warm and natural tonality. It delivers a rich organic sound with a full-bodied presentation. However, the mid-range isn't the most forward or detailed, which may be a drawback for those who prefer a more analytical sound. The bass on the Sivga Que is punchy and textured. In Hotel California, the opening bass guitar riffs carries a nice weight, adding depth to the track without overwhelming the mids. It's not the fastest bass, but it maintains good control. The mid bass is emphasized, which contributes to the warm signature, but occasionally it can bleed a bit into the lower mids. Vocals on the Que are smooth and organic, but slightly recessed. Listening to Get Lucky, I noticed that Pharrell's voice sounded natural, but not as forward as I would have liked. The warmth from the mid-bass adds a pleasing richness to male vocals, but at the cost of some clarity and resolution. Instruments like acoustic guitars and pianos have a realistic timbre, though they could use a bit more transparency to stand out in complex mixes. Treble is well extended, but not overly bright. In Hotel California, the cymbals have a crisp presence without sounding harsh. The Que manages to avoid sibilance while still delivering enough treble energy to keep things engaging. However, the upper treble could use a bit more air and sparkle, which would enhance the sense of space and openness. Soundstage and imaging are quite good for this price range. The Que provides a wide spacious presentation that makes live recordings like Hotel California feel immersive. Instrument separation is decent, though it struggles slightly with complex passages. Resolution isn't class leading, but for a $69 IEM it performs admirably. Another great contender in the same price range as the Sivga Que is the SimGot EA500LM. In direct listening comparisons, the EA500LM delivers better resolution and a more controlled bass response. The treble extension is superior and the mid-range is more detailed. However, the EA500LM has a leaner sound and its brighter tuning can cause fatigue over long listening sessions. The Q on the other hand has a more relaxed and organic presentation, making it more enjoyable for casual listening. If you prioritize technical performance, go for the EA500LM. However, if you prefer a warm, fatigue-free experience, the Q is the better choice. Now it's time to address some of the pros and cons of the Sivga Que. Let's start with the drawbacks. The mid-range, while smooth, could use more clarity and presence. The bass, though enjoyable, isn't the fastest and can sometimes intrude on the mids. The treble, while inoffensive, lacks some upper end air and sparkle. Also, the lack of a balanced 4.4mm option might be a deal breaker for some audiophiles. On the plus side, the Sivga Que delivers a lush and organic tonality that's rare at this price. The real wood faceplates and solid metal build makes it feel like a premium product. The soundstage is spacious, the bass is satisfying and the treble is smooth without being overly dark. For relaxed, long listening sessions, the Que is an enjoyable companion. So, is the Sivga Que worth it? Well, if you're looking for a warm, natural sounding IEM with premium materials and solid craftsmanship, it's a great option at $69. It may not be the last word in detail and resolution, but its smooth and engaging sound makes it a pleasure to listen to. If you prefer a more analytical or a bright sound, you might want to look elsewhere. But for those who love a rich organic tonality, the Sivga Que is an IEM that deserves a spot on your shortlist. That's it for today's review. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Sivga Que. And if you've tried it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon for more audio reviews. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.